Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on YouTube. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me as always in the co-host seat is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
What were you about to say? Co-host section?
I don't know. I kind of choked on my words. It's been a long weekend.
Hello.
And we want to remind everybody Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Home Circle Media for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you by Casey Fox. That's KAYCIFOXX for all of your artwork, cosplay, and commission needs. Be sure to check out Casey Fox on Facebook and Instagram. We're also brought to you tonight by Darren.
For anybody in the Triangle area that needs lawn service or leaf cleanup this time of year, give me a call or find me on Facebook.
And we are excited tonight. We have got an awesome guest. This is a gentleman we were so lucky to have met him by chance at the first convention we ever got a table at many years ago when it was called ChaseCon down in Saratoga Springs. It's now Saratoga Comic-Con. And we are excited to welcome Tico Flores Kyle back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us, Tico.
Thanks for having me. It has been a while, and gosh, you know what? I almost forgot that was the first time around for you when we met.
Yeah, that was our first convention with Sam, and went back down memory lane because I went to Saratoga Comic-Con a few weeks ago when he had that back. Went by where we had our table and saw the parking lot where you and I had our first conversation just randomly.
I got a few gray hairs.
I've got less hair than when we first met. So. A lot of additions and a lot of subtractions, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, you have a fantastic and lovely new addition.
Yes, with our daughter Evie, who is now 4.
Oh my gosh, sheesh.
Yeah, tell me about it. She grew up fast. Where did time go? And thank you so much for joining us tonight and hanging out with us.
No, I appreciate it. Had a great time the last time, and let's have some fun.
Oh, of course. And for our listeners out there, because I know we have some new people who have been tuning in to the shows recently, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Oh, man, well, I'm a New York City-based actor, and not a famous guy, but I'm a working actor. Not working as much as I'd like to. That's always the case. So you know what they say in this business: don't quit your day job. But I've been acting, actually. I started very late in life. I worked behind the scenes. I didn't get in front of the camera till I was about maybe 50-something years old. So that gives you an idea as to how old I am now. I'm just about ready for Social Security. And but I come from a pretty diverse background in sports, teaching, coaching, just a whole number of things. I don't want to bore everybody with the details, but let's just say that I'm pretty seasoned as far as life goes.
Oh yeah. And you've had a lot of experiences, and I thank you for sending me the links earlier. I checked everything out.
That was my fault. I do apologize. You know, it's been a busy week. It seems every day you have an audition, and now because of COVID protocol, we have to tape our own auditions, and that's a process. Then it has to be sent in. So I'm glad to be auditioning, but it is kind of a pain in the butt because you have to set things up. Sometimes you need people to shoot for you, but it is what it is. COVID just kind of changed the face of a lot of things, and in particular in this business too. So there's a lot happening, a lot going on. So, but again, I apologize for not having sent that stuff to you earlier. Would have been some good reference points from you, but at least I was able to get it to you.
Oh yeah, and I remember the last time that we had talked, you were getting ready to go to Notre Dame.
That's right.
For the fencing and everything. What was it like to go? The 10-minute video was great to see, like, your experience and everything that was set up. But what was it like from your standpoint to go to Notre Dame, a place that you grew up watching football every Saturday, and it was a big part of your childhood? How was it for you to actually get there?
Well, first and foremost, I I never really envisioned myself ever visiting the university. I mean, obviously, it was one of those things that I still pinch myself to have gone there, but I never really imagined going there. But again, coming up when I did, television isn't like it is now. You know, you have wall to wall sports coverage, you have ESPN, you have all these other networks. So when you watch television, you saw Saturday football. It was on one of the networks, and Fox wasn't a network then. So you're talking about ABC, NBC, CBS, and that was it. Every week you were going to get Notre Dame because they have a national audience. So you're going to see Notre Dame. And there was something about the fight song, about how they, you know, they staged everything there. It was just something about it. And if you're a football player, as I was back in those days, you know, it's one of those schools, aside from, say, USC and maybe Penn State or something like that, you know, Ohio State, that you got to see, you know, you kind of envisioned yourself as maybe one day playing at one of those universities. And certainly Notre Dame was one of those schools that I envisioned myself playing at. So, so going there, but as a fencer and fencing instructor was something I could not have envisioned. If he had even told me this, oh gosh, 40 years ago, I would not have believed it. So it was amazing. And well, you know, you saw it. So when I got to that football stadium, you know, again, to repeat what I said in the documentary, the first thing that I wanted to do was get on that football field and run the length of the field.
Oh yeah. What was that like? That just like rejuvenating? And
let me tell you something. If you, regardless of the sport, if you like baseball, football, basketball, whatever it is, if you have a favorite professional team or favorite college team, if you're able to get into that facility, and whether it's run the bases, run up and down the court with a basketball and take a couple of shots, or run the length of the football field, you're back in high school, you know, you're back in your childhood. And I tell you, you ladies in the audience, if you already don't know, we never grow up. There's always that child in us. And, you know, for me, and for me, that's one of those things that I'll always have inside of me. So when I ran the length of that football field, man, it's just hard to describe. It was just amazing, you know. And that stadium of about, I think it seats close to 100,000 people is the capacity. So it's just phenomenal.
Oh yeah, and I can understand the feeling because growing up in Massachusetts, being a lifelong Patriots fan, I grew up with the Patriots of the 80s where you celebrated a touchdown because that was rare. I grew up with Steve Grogan and that group of people. So when I probably had gone in my lifetime to the old Foxborough Stadium, probably 10 to 15 games, and never saw the Patriots win in person.
Wow.
After Gillette was built, probably went to another 10, 15 games at Gillette Stadium, never saw them lose. And it didn't matter if Bledsoe was the quarterback or Tom Brady was the quarterback. And the year before we left Massachusetts to move to upstate New York, one of my coworkers who was a season ticket holder, as a going away gift, got us 3 passes for me, my wife, and daughter to go to the Patriots Family Appreciation Day on the field at Gillette Stadium.
Wow.
So we got to go through the tunnel. We got to go through the Patriots inflatable helmet. We got to go through the locker rooms. We got to see trophy number 6 that Gronk hit a baseball with. Still had the dent in it. So I can totally understand the feelings that you had going on to Notre Dame's field.
Yeah, just look, a storied university, a storied football program. Again, if you played football, well, look, even if you didn't play football, if you appreciate the sport, and I would think that anybody, male or female, that's an athlete. I mean, I didn't play lacrosse, I didn't play hockey, but to get on the ice, you know, at the Boston Garden or Madison Square Garden or Chicago or you know, something like that, that's just a great experienced. So, but this was Notre Dame, and this was their football field, and that was to this day my favorite sport. Though I turned out to be a pretty good basketball player, I love football. I like basketball, but I love football.
And you love fencing.
And I love fencing. That came along later in life, but yes, I love fencing. It's a fantastic sport.
And what got you into fencing?
Wow. Well, it's one of those things that I always wanted to do. And my background is as a martial artist. I've been practicing the martial arts since I was 9 years old, and I continue to practice to this day. And there was a time when I traveled extensively, and I can't say I've seen the world because of martial arts, but I've been to Russia. I've been to the Caribbean. I mean, other than seeing family, I've had the opportunity to see out of the 50 states, at roughly around 40 or so. I mean, even going to states that I would normally not have gone to for any reason other than there was a karate competition, to be honest. But again, fencing is a martial art. I mean, look, back in the days, it was a skill set which you needed in order to survive. It is a sport now, though there are some places where legally you still can challenge someone to a duel. And if they happen to get killed, if you happen to get killed, so be it. But also for acting purposes, it was something that was taught. A lot of the actors from the UK and Europe, part of their training is, if they're doing stage work, is stage combat. And that comes in with fencing. If you remember Basil Rathbone, and he's known for Sherlock Holmes and a lot of other roles. But when the Zorro movie with oh gosh, it escapes me. It'll come right. Tyrone what's Tyrone Powell, and that's considered still today one of the best fencing sequences. Rathbone had no stuntman; he did his own fencing because he learned it. So it's a great tool for theater, for actors, because it teaches also physical movement and how to respond, and not just with the, again, it goes just beyond fencing itself. It's a tremendous tool. I would probably need somebody who's more of an acting coach to break it down to you. I can't. But anyway, those were the reasons, an extension of my martial arts, but also because for my acting, and that leads into stunt work and stuff like that. So I got involved in it. Again, I was, I was in my late 40s at the time, and I ran into somebody who was a fencing coach, and we got to talking, and he said, "You know what? You need to come down." So I came down, took a couple classes with him, and he said, "You know what? You're pretty good for a newbie, but he said, if you're going to train with me, I want you to train under me, and you're going to get your certification." And he said, if you don't get your certification, I'm not going to train you. So he kind of, had my arm pinned behind my back, and I'm glad he did, because I went ahead, got my certification, and I also started to coach, and I started a program as a result. And I started a program for inner city kids because, I mean, look, kids that live in the inner city, kids that live in rural America, they don't necessarily have the opportunity to fence, because in most instances, there's not a fencing program around there, and it's not publicized. This thing is like football, basketball, baseball, other sports like that. So I want to open up the kids who may never have had the opportunity to fence. And that's what I did, along with my friend and co-coach, Moses Sistrom Jr.
And it's a great program that you have developed, because growing up, I never knew of fencing. I didn't know of lacrosse or things of that nature. It was always, like you said, the main sport, especially growing up in the Boston, just south of Boston area. Your focus was the main four sports: hockey, football, baseball, basketball.
Yep.
NASCAR was introduced to me, so auto racing was introduced to me in '89. And that was the sports I knew a lot. And then you had the Olympic stuff, which
Right.
when it came to the Olympics, it was like, okay, I've watched figure skating because of the cute girls, or gymnastics because of cute girls, or I got into the bobsleds because that was like motorsports and neat to see them going down on the bobsleds and the luge and
Well,
things
especially
of
with
that nature.
at the end. Let's face it.
Or you got into bobsled because of Cool Runnings. That's how
Oh,
it got me.
okay, there you go. Well, and that's the funny thing too, because look, and what was Cool Runnings about? Jamaican bobsled team, because nobody in Jamaica had ever competed in that, because, well, we're in this tropical country, and why would we bobsled? And somebody obviously said, well, wait a minute, you know what? Why not? But somebody introduced them to it, and that's what happened. So,
and now the USA team, they use what's called a Bodine bobsled in a lot of cases, and Jeffrey Bodine, a former NASCAR driver, used his knowledge of aerodynamics from driving race cars to produce these bobsleds with aerodynamics and NASCAR technology in mind.
That's amazing. So see, everything just connects. That's amazing. See, I didn't know that. That's a great fact.
And it's amazing to think that I think like other NASCAR drivers, Dick Trickle, who retired, I think was helping with that for a while as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Bodine was almost killed at Daytona in a truck crash.
Really?
Many years ago when they had a big wreck towards the end of the race, and the truck he was in got airborne, hit the catch fence, and just was like shredded apart. The engine went one way, the body of the truck went another way. When it came back down onto the pavement, got hit again a couple of times, and he was hospitalized. Thankfully, he survived and has gone on. He was done with racing at that point. Obviously, you almost lose your life. It takes a lot to even think about getting back in a race car. But he's gone on, like I said, to work with the bobsled team, and hats off to him for what he's done, because I think USA has gotten some medals since he's been a part of the bobsled team.
Wow, that's amazing.
And stupid knowledge that I have.
Hey, look, you know what? It's funny that you said that, but I'm kind of similar in a lot of ways, because I know a lot about a lot of things that really don't matter, but I know them. So you never know. So you had the opportunity now to share this with me. So it's a good thing that you knew about it. So there you go. This was the opportunity. So maybe more knowledge about things that really don't matter as we continue with this interview today.
Oh, yeah. And for viewers out there wondering about our figure selection today, I chose Mina from Strike Witches. She was the acting commander of the 501st Joint Fighter Wing of Young Witches sent out to fight the Noroi, where she is a leader, a commander, and the female in charge. I figured where Tico is an instructor and a man in charge, she would be fitting for the show tonight.
There you go. Let me a round of applause for her.
And she is based off of an actual fighter pilot from the World War II era. I think it was.
Wow. Okay.
Strike Witches is an actual part of a thing called the World Witches, which, like I said, based off of World War II era stuff. Every character in the World Witches franchise, Strike Witches, Brave Witches, so on and so forth, they are named after actual fighter pilots from the war. In Strike Witches, there's a character named Charlotte Yeager. She was named after Charles Yeager from the U.S. Air Force. Mia Fuji's another fighter pilot. So everybody in there was named after Gerhard Barkhorn, or Gertrude Barkhorn was named after Gerhard Barkhorn from Germany. And so a lot of history went into the making of that anime.
Cool. Well, that means a lot of thought and a lot of behind the scenes work and investigation went into that. And hats off to that person or individuals who put that together. So,
and there's actually quite a few anime that the scope of research that they do before writing these series is absolutely mind-boggling. There's a couple in particular. Cells at Work is all about the human body. I don't know if you remember a show called Osmosis Jones, but that's a lot of times what it gets compared to is like a much more in-depth version of it. Then you got Food Wars, which basically will more or less teach you how to cook and make your mouth water, and then some. And let's see, help me out here, Doug. What other shows were well researched?
There's New Game, which is an anime about a video game studio, and it shows you the behind the scenes of how they make games. The one that I compare the game, like in the first season, the game that I compare the one that they're making to would be like the Final Fantasy franchise, because they're making like volume 3 of a series that the girl who gets hired by this company played the original and was idolized the person who created the characters and stuff, and now that person is her boss. And the person who came up with the story used to work for a video game company, took their personal experiences of what it was like in the office to create characters and everything and put it into manga light novel form, and then it got an anime adaptation.
Wow.
And let's see, how heavy are the dumbbells you lift was it could really be modeled after like a personal fitness trainer and then some, because they went into great detail about mapping out a personal fitness plan for yourself, as going even as far as the diet that goes with it.
And that was actually a lot better. I've watched it like 3 times in its entirety. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
That's something that would interest me. So I'm going to have to get that information. I'm going to have to check that out myself.
Now, I'm trying to think, is there fence? I know there's a lot of like martial art style animes and stuff. I don't remember I think I had seen one about fencing, but I'm not sure.
At the end of the day, everything is well, a perfect example for all the people that love the Star Wars and stuff like that. Bob Anderson was the fight coordinator for the first few Star Wars movies, and he was an Olympic fencer from the UK. So, I mean, all that is based upon fencing principles, and there's similarities, where they're using bigger swords and stuff like that. But all that is fencing based. So that's very much part of it.
That's cool. That's stuff I didn't know. Like I said, the fencing side of things, like I know nothing about it. And when we met, you were hosting some panels for martial arts and fencing and stuff at the convention.
Exactly. We also talked about stage. We also in the Star Wars panel, which was really just discussing stage combat and breaking down how fencing translates into Star Wars lore and all these fight sequences and stuff like that, and explaining how it works, and again, to some extent, what happens behind the scenes and the illusion of combat, because obviously we're not trying to stick each other or hit each other, though it does happen on occasion.
Yep. And like you said, it's learning how to work in time with those around you.
Oh, very, very much so. For the aspects of stunt work, in particular, it's just so subtle. But again, the timing and understanding who you're working with and everything else, it's just amazing. It's really a science. It's really a science, and people have no idea the amount of training and preparation for what may be, in some instances, 5 seconds of footage. So.
Oh, yeah. And you could, I'm sure a lot of our normal fans who watch the anime can understand that when talking with, like, in the world of voice acting, where you have to match mouth flaps and things like that, and you have to make sure you say your line to match the mouth flaps, or even if you're just a hair of a second off, you keep that hair of a second off, and the editors can work their magic to make it work, or you have to retake it. And in stunt work, I'm sure there are times where if you're not perfect on a certain stunt, there's a risk of serious injury and may not be a retake.
There is the joke I always tell people is one of the jokes that one of my stunt instructors said was, if you hurt Tom Cruise, you don't work in this business. So if you're not on point and you miss your mark and you hit Tom Cruise, that's it for you. Because of course, if the star gets hurt, production shuts down, and that's millions of dollars, until they get back on their feet. So yeah, Yeah, it's precise. But I'll share a little fun fact with you, and a lot of people don't. Most people don't know this, unless of course they're in the industry. When you see fight scenes, and there's always that scene where the good guy, the whoever the hero is or heroine is, and the bad guy are fighting. If there are other action going on around them, like maybe it's a group fight or something like that, I always say to people, well, where are the best stunt people? Where's the top stunt woman or top stunt man? I said, wherever they're fighting, look where the hero is fighting, the big star, and any person that's fighting around them, even if they're not fighting them, if they're fighting a few feet away from them, those are the best stunt people. Why? Because if you have action going on simultaneously around a star while he or she is fighting, if that action spills over into their area, the star could get hurt. So the closer to the main action with the principal, with the hero, the better the stunt people.
And it's amazing to hear that, because that's something I'm sure 90% of movie, TV, anime fans never would even think of. And I include anime fans in there because there's a lot of live action animes that are getting done now. And they're based off of big name shows. And so, thinking about, like you said, the stunt people that get closer to the main actors and stuff, I know I've never really thought about that. I'm sure a lot of people haven't.
Yeah, most people don't. And I would say 99.9% of the general population, they're not paying attention to it. Though when you break it down, then and you think about it, it says, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then again, it's normally, unless somebody points that out, you would never have even considered that. So, but yeah, that's how it works. So
that's one thing I love about this show is the information that I learn about some of the behind the scenes things, whether it be in acting, voice acting, anime, artistry, whatever. It's fascinating, and I love the fact that I never stop learning, and it's awesome that you can come on, share your knowledge with myself, Darren, and our listeners, because it opens our eyes to a whole world that we never would think of. I know, The Matrix has another movie coming out, and you think of Keanu Reeves and the stuff that goes on in there, and like that iconic scene of seeing him just leaning back and the bullets going by and things of that nature. You just look at it and go, man, that was pretty cool. You don't think at the time, how did they do that?
Right.
Was that green screen? Was that wires? How did they get him to act that out? Because in the sequence, it just looks flawless.
Well, the funny thing, what people don't realize, in particular when you have something like that was a big budget feature, is how many people actually work on a project like that. I mean, people don't sit down and say, you think about, okay, the director, this one, that one, and the actors, but in post-production and all the other stuff, I mean, sometimes you'll have hundreds, maybe even 1,000 people, really, in a lot of instances from all over the world, doing one little piece of whatever it is for that particular film. So it really takes a load of people. I mean, obviously with the lower budget ones, that's not the case. But stuff that's being put up by Marvel, the big studios, there's so many people involved in the process. It's actually mind-boggling.
Oh yeah, and like we've learned in the anime world, the true heroes are the people who are in the post-production. The voice actors and the directors get the credit, and they get their names up in the DVDs. You get to see them at the conventions. You don't get to see the sound engineer as a guest at a convention. You don't get to see the ADR staff or the music people or things of that nature at conventions. It's the voice actors and sometimes the directors, and sometimes the director is the voice actor.
It's one thing people will tell you, that editing in particular can make or break a film. You can have a film that, for all intents and purposes, sucks. But if you get a good editor in there, they can edit that baby down and actually save a film, and in some instances make it look fantastic. So,
oh yeah.
Again, like you said, You're not going to see the editor. I mean, yeah, maybe if it's a super big blockbuster movie, they might bring the editor in to talk about it. You know, on occasion, if it's like New York Comic Con or one of the large Comic Cons. But for the most part, like you said, you don't see those guys and gals that work behind the scene. And in a lot of instances, they are the ones who make or break it. And you said music too. Think about how music and the background music advances the storyline.
Oh yeah.
And just think about what a really good musical soundtrack can also do for a movie. It's
definitely. And we even see that in the anime world there, and I'm sure you can agree that there are some shows out there that the show may be subpar, but the soundtracks are amazing, and that's what draws the people in.
I agree.
Most definitely.
And like there's shows out there. One of the big shows that I like obsess over on this show horribly and almost to a fault. I had, after years of having Rosario Vampire as my number one favorite anime of all time for personal reasons that helped me got through a messy divorce many years ago and whatnot, I have found a franchise, not necessarily like one specific anime, but a franchise from an anime that has taken its spot as number one. And that's Show by Rock, because it's a music-based anime, but it's not like a idol group anime, or it doesn't just focus on one type of music. It's got some pop music, it's got heavy metal and rock and traditional Japanese music. And through seasons 1, the OVA, season 2 of Show by Rock, the storyline was great. You got to see some character development. And then they brought out Mashima Resh, which is like, in my opinion, was like a season 3, even though it was a spinoff. And then you get introduced to 3 new bands in that. And the music in that was fantastic. Absolutely. Like the music I think is what really made me fall in love with the show. And then to go from the Japanese to hear the English dub side of things and find out behind the scenes of how things like that, how that came together. And then you go through 12 episodes, and a small clip in episode 12, you see the main character from the original Show by Rock have an interaction with the main character from Mashima Resh just by chance. And it's a 10-second, 15-second meet, but it's spelled Show by Rock Stars, which in my opinion is like a season 4, which thanks to the knowledge and having Giovanni Cruz on the show recently, they're dubbing season 4 Show by Rock Stars, which has me really excited. Now, do you know of Giovanni at all, or
no,
heard her name?
No.
She was recently in Suicide Squad.
Really? Oh wow. Okay.
She was Isabella, one of the commanders.
Right.
So we had her on the show a few weeks ago on the 21st.
That's cool that you were able to get her.
And we met her thanks to Mashima Resh, because she's done some anime work. And her voice was so predominant. And when you're into something really big, like I've been into the anime for years, and you hear the voices, you start picking out, okay, well, that sounds like this actor or that actor. When you hear a new voice that really stands out, like that gets your attention.
Wow, well, that's fantastic. Well, I'm gonna have to check her out. Then I'm definitely gonna have to look her up, because the name didn't ring a bell. But I mean, look, if she gets the Suicide Squad, then that's a proverbial big feather in the cap. So I'm waiting for an opportunity like that.
She's been in, I think it was NCIS, not the original, but one of the spinoffs. She's been in NCIS and a few other shows. And on one of the video clips that you had sent me, you were in, I think it was a Spanish-speaking clip.
El Capo, yes.
And she speaks Spanish as well, so she's got roles in there. So there's a chance that you could be doing a foreign TV show or something and end up crossing paths.
Well, you know what? I'm all for it. I'm ready. The whole thing about this industry is it's not about being a household name. It really isn't. I mean, everybody gets into things for a reason, but I hear a lot of young people, and why do you want to do this? Well, I want to be famous. And I suppose if ultimately you just want to be famous for the sake of being famous, I suppose it's okay. But it's not the right reason to get into this business because realistically speaking, the best thing that could come out of this is that you'll be a working actor and that you will continue to work. You won't be a household name, and you might be someone that somebody will see you in the street and say, "I know you, but I don't. I know you from somewhere, but I don't know where." And that's actually a compliment because that means that you're working. And because they don't know your name really isn't important. It's probably better off because can you imagine if you were really famous, you'd have no privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly you'd have a whole lot of long lost relatives knocking at your door and calling you constantly. So,
oh yeah, like Darren, he's famous.
What? What for my Nico impression?
No,
yeah, we're still waiting for the Nico impression to come back.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he was famous from the because of the collection agencies that are constantly coming at him.
We're trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
Oh, no. The one that I constantly get is, "Hello, my name is da-da-da, calling from Energy Advocates or Home Solar or something or another." And I'm like, it's that automated AI stuff that I can't stand.
Right.
We got derailed.
Oh, God.
Welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on YouTube. I'm still going to probably screw up from time to time and say Blog Talk because we were on there for 6+ years.
That's right.
Can you believe the show is going to be 8 years old in April?
Wow.
That's crazy to think. Every now and then I'm just like, oh yeah, I've been doing the show for over 7.5 years. Wait, what? That's crazy. I'm trying to think back to like what year it was. It had to have been like 2015 or 2016 that we did Saratoga Comic-Con.
You know what? I'll be honest. You're probably right, and I say that because I don't quite remember. I'd have to really think about it, but yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Because it was also the first time that we met voice actress Michaela Krantz, because she was a guest at that con as well, and it was also her first convention to be a guest at.
Well, you know what? I have to admit that I wasn't really. I mean, things are generational, and this generation obviously is more. Well, for the lack of a better phrase, into anime than say was the generations before it. I mean, and now it's just grown exponentially, and it's been around for a long time. I actually had a neighbor of mine, God rest his soul, who was into it, and I first learned about it from him. He had a lot of Japanese comic books and stuff like that, and it was kind of almost like a subculture type thing. It really wasn't big here. And, but then, it's just like, obviously it's not overnight, but it seems like overnight. It's just like, this is like a gazillion-dollar industry. And the kids are so into it. And I think it's fantastic. And to be honest about anything that creates work for artists, whether they're cartoonists or do storyboards or whatever, it's anything that creates work for creative types. Is cool by me. I mean, I think it's fantastic that that the kids are into it and people actually making a living with this. I think it's amazing. I think it's Anime-Zing.
Now, as an actor yourself, have you ever gotten into the voice acting side of things? Because I know there's many different forms of acting.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, definitely. It's one of those things I'd like to get into. I haven't had the opportunity. It's a lot is timing. A lot is who your agents are and stuff like that. I've been kind of more, other than the TV stuff, and I'm been more so TV than film, or the commercials, because there are a lot of actors that actually make a nice living and they just basically do commercials, and that's not a bad way. But no, I've developed an interest in voice acting. It's something that I never really thought much about. But again, going to these conventions, meeting people like yourself and stuff like that, and meeting the fans, and talking to them, and just kind of being around when they're around the voice actors and they're talking to them. I'm saying, that would really be cool to be a voice character or something like that. But I will tell you this: to do live action anime would be really cool, because it's also very physical, and I by nature am a very physical person. I'm still a jock to this day. So for me to be a character where I get into a scuffle, throw a couple people around, maybe even get my ass kicked, hey, I'm all for it.
So like a Cowboy Bebop or something like that.
Oh, forget about that. Forget about that. I'd be the guy, at my age doing my own stunts. They say, you know what, you can't do your own stunts, because if you get hurt, we're gonna have to call the side. But well, can I do some of my stunts? So yeah, that would be so cool. That's ultimately what I'd like to see. In the back of my mind, I'm an expendable. The old guys that could still kick a little ass. So that's why I'm glad I came up with that franchise, because it shows that some of us old guys can still go out there and kick ass. Though we're sore for a couple of weeks afterwards, but we can still do it.
Hearing that, Darren, what live action animes that you can think of do you think he would fit if they were to make one?
Is that question to Darren?
Yeah, because Darren's got a big, vast knowledge of animes, and a lot of it shows I don't watch. So
okay,
it's like,
come on, Darren, let's give it to us.
Let's see. I'm trying to think, because it's been a while since I've seen actually a good action show or something along those lines. I know there's several about boxing that's coming to mind.
Okay, well, throw me in that one. I have a boxing background.
About to say, there's two. One's Megalobox, and the other is a classic, Hajime no Ippo.
Okay.
Let's see. Also, on a personal note, did you delve into Taekwondo any?
Yes, I also have a black belt in Taekwondo. I have a couple of black belts, and I have a pretty extensive background in the martial arts. It's quite varied.
The reason I ask is because I did Taekwondo when I was like 9 or 10, I want to say. And I made it up to my second degree before I finally quit.
Oh, well, you know what? Here is I'm going to ask you the question that anybody and it's funny you said that, because when people find out about my martial arts background, they say, "Oh, well, I studied this, that, whatever, and I got to this." Well, particularly anybody that says I got to a brown belt, or I got my black belt, whatever, first degree, second degree, whatever, Shodan, Nidan, whatever it is, and then I quit. My first question is, you tell me, "Oh, I got to brown belt." I said, well, if you go to high school for 3 years, why wouldn't you go for your last year and get your diploma? If you went to college for 3 years, 3.5 years, why wouldn't you finish up and get your diploma? In other words, why did you stop short? You were right there. As for those who have black belts, I always say to them is, when do you really start learning? When you get that black belt is when you start to learn. All that other stuff prior to that is just trying to get to that black belt, and that's when the world opens up. So, again, everybody has their reasons or stuff like that, and this is no disrespect to you, but there is a distinction to be made. You could have your black belt, and you could be whatever, first, second, third degree, whatever it is, or you could be. When I talk to people, say, "Are you a black belt?" I say, "Well, I'm a martial artist." What does that mean? I'm a black belt who continues to train and continues to learn. And that's the difference between myself and somebody that gets the black belt, and then, that's it. So in other words, now that I've got this black belt, I can go on and move on to something else.
I got you.
So that's really what it comes down. Again, no disrespect, because anybody that earns a black belt, I give them a lot of credit. It's not easy. and I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. There are some schools out there, we call them McDojos. And if you get the reference, it's a fast, like a fast food restaurant. You go and you pay your money and you get it real fast.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people walking around with black belts that, I respect the fact that they have a black belt, but if you really want to know the truth, I don't respect the fact that they got it in 2 years, or maybe that the kid's 8 years old and he has a third-degree black belt. But that's another story for maybe another another program, not Anime-Zing Radio, maybe for something else. So, but yeah.
Well, I'll say this: there were some kids younger than me walking around with a black belt. Now, granted, when we actually did go do competitions every now and then, and for sparring and various weapons performances, yada yada yada, some of them were quite skilled. I will definitely give them that. And I feel I was in a dojo per se, or a studio that was kind of a mix of actually learning versus a little bit money hungry. Pardon, but I mean, not gonna lie, that's part of the reason I quit was my parents were starting to think that he was starting to change his
focus.
Yes, thank you. Because I made it up to a second degree, and honestly, I remember a decent amount of what I learned, but I don't remember everything.
Right.
And if someone was to come at me and I actually had to use those techniques, I don't know if I would remember all of them or be able to put a lot of them into practical use. It would probably take me a minute to remember how to do a lot of that stuff.
You don't have but the thing is, right, you don't have a minute to remember that. A thinking man is a dead man. But then again, all you need to remember is one technique. And what's your mercy? Now we veer off into martial arts. But there's a connection in anime though. What is the most important strike? What is the most important strike? Your first strike. You know why?
I was about to say your first strike, because that's going to determine whether you live, die, or get seriously
Exactly,
hurt.
because you may not get a second chance.
Exactly.
So all you need is one technique, and you just need to throw it, and that's it. And hopefully it hits its mark. So yeah.
And hopefully they're not built to take hits like that.
You know what, though? Honestly, not to get too far off on a tangent, most folks in this younger generation, they can't fight. They can't take a punch.
I'll admit, I would probably struggle taking a punch, but at the same time, I would know how to dish one back if I actually got the chance to. Or they would have a hard time catching me because I'm quick on my feet.
Oh, that's self-defense, isn't it? Self-defense is about live to fight another day. So if and I've told my students, it's not a Jackie Chan movie where you fight 20 guys. It doesn't work like that. If there's a bunch of guys and you have an exit, you exit. You don't stand around and fight. You get out. Self-defense, self-preservation. And that's being smart. Forget all that hero Jackie Chan crap.
No, I was looking through some of the animes and stuff that I had seen, and as you said, bringing it back to the anime side of things, Isekai is a huge genre in anime right now. I don't know if you've heard of it or know what Isekai is.
No, I'm not familiar at all. So,
Isekai is a genre where the main character or main characters in some way, shape, or form are transported to another world. Whether they die, whether they're summoned, whether they get sucked into a video game, or however it may happen, they are transported to another world. There's an anime out there called Kimono Michi, which is an isekai where a professional wrestler in the middle of a match get summoned to another world, and he ends up doing like a reverse suplex to the princess of the world.
Oh, oh.
And that's like your introduction to this character and of like the royalty and things of that nature. Because he's in the middle of a wrestling match and he doesn't know what's happening. He just knows all of a sudden he's in another world, or he's away from the ring, and just boom, just destroys. and it's like, and he doesn't even really want to wrestle. He wants to open up a pet shop. That's all he cares about. But there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of wrestling and things of that nature. It's like, could we see Tico as this guy, wrestling these weird monsters and trying to fight these, unbelievable creatures? And
I think they'd want somebody 40 years younger than I, but every star needs to have the proverbial mentor, the Miyagi, somebody there to teach him or her the ropes or something like that. So maybe that's what I get to do. So I'm at that stage in life anyway, and I accept it. And every now and then I get that character will get to go out again, much like Miyagi did in Karate Kid. Every now and then he'd get out there and he'd go out and do a little something. So that would be fun. But see, all that stuff is cool to me. I think it's absolutely amazing, and to me, it excites me because again, there are guys out there who are great actors, and then there are guys out there who really aren't great actors, but they have a physical presence, and that's why they do movies. Because I mean, it's all physical, and people go there. They don't want a lot of dialogue. They want a lot of blowing up and shooting, and if that's what people are paying to see, hey, so be it.
To that nature, there's another type of show that I think that I could see a live action version of you. And putting your skills to the test. A lot of survival game type orient. What do you think, Doug? Like something like Mirai Nikki or Darwin's Game, or something that they're having to use one of their talents to survive?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what some of those are. I don't remember.
Say the Future Diary.
I didn't see the Future Diary.
Okay, well, that's basically a giant survival game. Darwin's Game, Danganronpa. Let's see. And then there's also several military style animes.
Now see, that's something that would be a lot of fun. That would really be cool.
I would like to see him in a like live action Saga of Tanya the Evil.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Little Lolly Hitler.
Is there a mean old son of a bitch or a nice old guy in there somewhere? Some guy 50th, 60th in there.
Basically, all of her commanders.
All of her commanders are older, very strict, very like prick people, and very like it's almost like German military.
In that case, I'm available if anybody's listening. I could do that. Some of my students would say that describes me to a T.
That was a good one, Doug. Let's see. Because there's quite a few shows that have like a military-esque presence, be it an actual military or even just an old school military with swords and other medieval type weapons.
It's amazing. Just again, in kind of recapping what I said early, just how this genre has just exploded, and just how it explores so many different types of things, that it's not just limited to one thing. And of course, when you're talking with animation and stuff like that, you can go places that you can't go as far as live action, but to be able to take these concepts and then to actually adapt them to live action is very, very interesting.
And the fact that we're starting to see so many live actions for a lot of anime series is quite impressive, to say the least. I've never been a live action fan of a lot of series, but they've got some work to do, but they're still developing. Oh, Doug, put him
Yeah.
in JoJo.
I don't know a lot about JoJo. I've never actually like really watched JoJo, so I don't know that I could do that.
You got 6 different parts of JoJo, so I think they're doing Stone Ocean right now. But there's literally, and I jumped in at the wrong time for JoJo. I jumped in on the 3rd adaptation when they were traveling to Egypt and kept running into the guy that was the antagonist minions like every turn of the way.
Okay. I know a lot of people are big on the JoJo thing.
Because everyone's always like, is that a JoJo reference? Was that a JoJo reference?
I hear that all the time, and it's like, I don't know what, because I don't, like, YouTubers I watch are obsessed with JoJo. I took a look at, like, the art of the characters. I'm like, I'm not interested because I don't like the art. And that's probably a petty reason to be like, I'm not going to watch it because I don't like the art style. But
Right.
if something's not aesthetically pleasing to me, I'm not going to invest time. And it could be absolutely amazing. And is it a fault? Probably. But we all have those things where it's like Show by Rock. And I have a picture here of one of the characters from it. We'll move Mina down for a minute. This is Retori. The art style of Show by Rock is absolutely adorable. It's a cute character, and I will take it out of the frame because, through a lot of the storyline, she looks like that. When she's on stage performing, she has a chibi version.
Mm.
And it's like, this is a cute character. The great part about the autograph, getting to meet Caitlin Glass, who voiced her, was Caitlin is a well-known voice actress. She has been voice acting and directing and in the anime world for many, many years, well over 10 plus years.
Wow.
And so she's got a lot of big name roles under her belt. So when we showed up at Kineticon earlier this year and got to meet her and was like, oh, can we get a Retori autograph? We might have had one of the few people who asked for Retori because I don't think a lot of people knew her from that. People know her from Oran High School Host Club or some of the other shows that she was a part of. And the fact that she not only voiced Retori, but she also directed Show by Rock the first 2 seasons.
Wow.
So it's like, not only do we love the show, we want your autograph from a character, but you also directed it. So I think sometimes that hits a little bit more. Like somebody getting to meet you might be like, I saw you on that Notre Dame movie that you put out on YouTube. And that's going to hit you a little bit harder than, oh, you do martial arts? That's cool.
Right. No, I hear you.
And our wonderful clock going off, signifying it's 9 o'clock here, Eastern Standard Time. Now,
and Darren is still awake.
And Darren is still awake, and he's interacting. We've got to keep him awake. Now, Darren has the habit of falling asleep during the shows, not because he's lazy, but because he usually works 14 to 18-hour days sometimes, it seems like, between 2 jobs. And so he doesn't get a lot of time to rest, and he still puts the time into, aside from his day job where he works in managerial position at a fast food restaurant down in North Carolina, he also owns his own landscaping business.
Hey, what part of North Carolina are you in?
The Raleigh area.
Okay.
I don't know if you know where Fuquay Varina is.
No, that I don't know. That I don't know. I'm a Gamecock.
Okay.
So now I'm not from there. That's just where I got my degree from. But
okay,
that part of the country. Have you been down there for? Are you originally from down there? Are you a transplant from up here?
Oh heck no! I live down here. And ironically enough, me and Doug have never met in person.
Oh, so you are a real Tar Heel?
No, I'm a Wolfpack.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, NC State.
Yes, even though my team I normally root for is Florida State, my dad's a Gator fan.
Okay. All right.
His whole his
Seminoles.
whole Yep, his whole family is split down the middle. So it's really Florida State fan first, and then a Wolfpack fan second. But yes, I'm born and raised in the Tar Heel State,
Okay.
going on 26 years.
Wow.
And me being from the Massachusetts area, people would assume if like I did not go to college at all, but people are like, "Oh, you're from Boston? Are you Eagles fan?" It's no. If I have any affiliation to any college for college sports at all, Syracuse Orange, because I
Real.
lived in Syracuse for 7 years. I was in the Carrier Dome for Boeheim's 700th win, 800th win. The first two times they set attendance records. I was there. I was there when Cleveland State beat them with a 3/4 shot at the buzzer.
No,
I
no.
was
That okay. That year was um Oh God, what year was that?
I don't remember because that was when I was with my ex-wife, and I would go to SU basketball and football games with my ex-brother-in-law.
Can you give me a rough approximation? Because I remember. I just can't. Man.
10 years, 12 years,
Um,
13 years.
Yeah, that would be about. That would be about it. About yeah, it might be a little bit more, but yeah.
Around
let's
between
see.
2007 and 2011, probably.
Yeah, probably around that because like I wasn't at the Carrier Dome when the game happened. I remember watching it at home, and I stayed up for it when Syracuse beat UConn in 2009 in 6 overtimes.
Hmm.
So it was in that time frame.
Yeah, I'm a my cousin played ball for Syracuse. He played for Boeheim, going
That's cool.
way back. Matter of fact, they were knocked out in okay, let me get this right. In 19, oh God, I'm dating myself. Was 78, 79, was it? Was it 78? They got knocked out in the NCAA quarterfinal by the Ernie and Bernie show. Ernie Grunfeld and Bernard King knocked him out of the I believe it was the quarterfinals of NCAA, and that was his last year.
Because this was like I remember Eric Devendorf playing. I forget his name. We called him AO. He sucked at the free throw line. We used to say AO, make that free throw. You know. I got to see Arthur Jones and Chandler Jones play SU football.
Okay.
And then I got to see Chandler Jones play for the Patriots. Actually went 2 games at Gillette where Chandler was playing for New England. And that's a heck of a family. And then, ironically, we were at Six Flags up here in upstate New York a year and a half ago, like shortly before, I want to say 2019. And I ran into somebody who was a teacher for all 3 of the Jones boys.
Really?
So, and Arthur Jones won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. Chandler Jones won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. And their other brother is an MMA champion.
Right, exactly.
So that's a family you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, and they say that mom is the one you have to watch out for.
Oh, I'm sure if the boys are like that, you know that mama didn't take no. I don't have to finish that phrase. Everybody knows it. So it's funny how like things just seem to always come back around. There's always reasons for stuff.
Oh, I agree. It's but again, when you start talking about how things are just kind of again just seem to connect. You kind of flow from one thing to another. You can always find the connection. I guess in some respects it's like 6 degrees of separation. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Now we just gotta get you into the voice acting world and get you like in an anime. I think that would be so much fun to have you in one of these upcoming animes. Now I know that they have so many like in the anime world. A lot of light novels are getting anime adaptations, and you can tell the difference between a manga turned anime and a light novel turned anime just by the title. Like a manga turned anime might be New Game or One Piece. Or Dragon Ball. A light novel might be World End. What are you doing at the end of the world? Are you busy? Will you save us? That's the whole title.
My
Really?
mental multiple choice power is ruining my school romantic comedy. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
And you thought there was never a girl online. These are actual titles. Drugstore in Another World. There's an Isakai about a guy who gets summoned into another world as a vending machine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think has that been made into an anime yet, or is it
No, it hasn't.
Did you ever wonder what some of these folks are on while they're coming up with these?
Yes.
But also, when you hear these titles and you see what the storylines of these shows are, you also have to remember this is Japanese culture.
Right.
A lot of these shows are based around a culture that us here in the U.S. don't understand. Some of the concepts of what is appropriate in other countries, we view inappropriate.
Well, this is very true, and there's a whole side of Japanese society in itself where, at least ostensibly, they're very proper and very businesslike and everything else. And then there's the very dark side, which we won't get into, but I think you guys know where I'm going with this.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It opens itself up to a lot of stuff which a lot of people would never think that they would be into, but they're pretty hardcore. So yeah.
Yeah. I have to say, in schools, for the first 2 or 3 years you go to school, they don't teach you anything but etiquette, manners, and basically the basics of society before they even try to teach you anything else. And I kind of wish that they would instill that a little bit more here.
Well, you know what? The problem is that's one of those things that's supposed to be done at home. And, the argument is here, we don't want to leave everything up to the state. In other words, the government. These are things at home. But what's happened is a lot of these things aren't taught at home anymore.
You're right.
So.
And one thing I learned about Japanese culture is if you want to be viewed at and respected by many Japanese people, have a business card. And if they hand you their card, you treat that like you're handling gold. Because they watch how you handle their card. If they give you their business card and you take it and you set it down respectfully and you treat that as it's an extension from them, they're going to give you a lot more respect. And if you hand them one of your cards, they even view a little bit higher. So it's like if you walk up, if I'm in Japan and I hand them one of my radio show cards and they hand me a card, I'm going to take that card. I'm going to put it respectfully into a pocket or somewhere where they know I have it. I'm not just going to take it, throw it in a trash can, throw it on the floor like we see at conventions all the time. I'm sure, Tico, you've seen at conventions you've attended. There's a million people with business cards. You find them in the trash. You find them on the floor. People just don't care.
I've found stuff that I've given out personally pertaining to things that I've done, and even one time at a competition where we gave out posters and stuff like that, and at the end of it, there was stuff strewn all over the floor. So it was kind of like that. In the moment, they were really, we loved you in the moment, but once the moment was over, we don't love you so much. Let's just throw this crap out of over here. So yeah, I've seen that happen a lot. So guys, let's get some business cards and let's go to Japan.
Trust me, I would love. Japan is in my top 5 of places I would love to visit in the world. I know my wife also wants to go to England, Scotland because of family ties out there, plus a lot of history, a lot of beautiful countryside and things of that nature. Also, me being a paranormal dude, there's so much paranormal in England and stuff. You have the tunnels and a lot of the history of, things, the dark past from England and things in the UK.
You have Stonehenge that you got to go see. Come on, that's got to be a big thing for you to go see Stonehenge.
I am more interested in going to Easter Island than Stonehenge.
Oh, really? Okay.
I would rather go to Easter Island. That place has always fascinated me. Just trying to figure out the mystery behind all those large stone carvings and why they all face the way they do.
Mhm.
The fact that there have been multiple sightings of movement of dark entities between statues and stuff at night, and that's always fascinated me. I've always wanted to go there. And as a paranormal researcher, I've been locked into places that you see on TV. I've been to Rolling Hills in Batavia, New York, locked in overnight twice. And that place has been featured on Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventurers. A lot of those paranormal shows have gone there, and I've experienced stuff. Most people probably wouldn't believe me if I told them.
I keep trying to get him to come down here for the Devil's Tramping Ground.
At some point, I'll get down there. I like one of the places on my bucket list of haunted locations I want to visit is Waverly Hills in Kentucky. It's an old tuberculosis hospital.
Mm.
And it's said to be like this place. At one point, they had so many deaths, they had a body chute where they would just put people in caskets, put them down a slide, basically to waiting hearses at the bottom. They were losing people at some time. At some points, I heard it was like up to 100 people a day and more were dying.
Wow. That's
so a lot of death and destruction and a lot of negative energies there. And it's, for a while, I didn't want to go, especially where, I'm a energy sensitive person. And so at first I was like, I don't think I want to go there because I don't know how it would affect me. And then the more I heard about it, the more I researched, the more I saw shows about it. It's like, I really want to check this place out because I'm stupid. I'm also the idiot that at Rolling Hills, we found the morgue area and I laid on the table.
Really?
Nobody else would do it. It was a public investigation. There was probably 15 of us in the room. I had my camera set up, and I decided to lay down on the table for two reasons. One, I wanted to see if it would cause something to happen. And two, it was really friggin' hot because it was July, and it was a nice cold metal table. So I laid down on the table, and then I felt the table start to shake, and nobody was touching it. And then I felt the pressure on my chest. And at that point in time, it's like it feels like somebody's getting ready to do an autopsy on me. So I got up before, anything major went. But from the camera, you could see nobody touched the table, or you could see everything that was going on. Really, really weird. But I love that stuff. I don't know why.
All the more reason you need to watch Miracle-chan.
I know. Leanne's on my case about watching that one too, and now it's getting English dubbed by Marissa Lenti's studio, Soundcated Studios. So it's I probably will wait till they get a few episodes dubbed before I sit down and start watching that. But that's a whole nother story. Welcome to Anime-Zing Radio, where we get sidetracked by the minute.
But that's okay now.
That's the beauty of live radio, though. That's how you know the show is real, because we just get into conversations. And that's and Tico, from the years that we've known each other, we've always tried to keep the show laid back, and we want our fans to get to know the people. Whether it's a cosplayer who we found that we really enjoyed the cosplays that they do, artists to find out what inspires them to produce the artwork that we love, actors like yourself, what got you into acting, who is Tico as opposed to who is this guy I saw acting as character such and such. And that's one thing that we love doing about this. Plus it helps give, as I said earlier, it gives us insight to a world we may never know anything about if it weren't for getting a chance to meet you and talk with you. Like, I've never done martial arts. I've been intrigued, but I'm lazy. And I'll admit I'm lazy. We've been talking about me starting to do some more exercising. She wants me to get a gym membership and try to work on my health a little bit more, because I work and I sit at home and watch anime and drink Mountain Dew, and we know how healthy that is. I'm your typical otaku.
So basically, she wants you to go on a hikari type.
I
She
told her
wants to be city.
I don't know if I'm going to start getting into weightlifting like she is. And
She's doing weightlifting?
yes, she's actually lost in the last year. Plus, she's down, I think, a little bit over 80 pounds.
Wow. Okay, good.
You won't recognize her next time you see her.
Oh, fantastic! No, good for her. Good for you because I'm also a strength and conditioning coach, so I'm into the old the health kick thing there. I mean, look, I always my joke is that the only reason why I'm not rich is because at my age, when most guys are overweight from a sedentary lifestyle, I'm not the actor that's going to get that commercial from a pharmaceutical company for some type of weight loss drug. I mean, and they get paid. You know, some of these commercials, they'll pay you, 25, 50 or more grand for to do one of their commercials. So I guess that's a paycheck I'm not going to get, but that's okay.
I have to say, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm 25. I'm 6'2", and I'm under 130. I think.
Well, I
I
think
just
you need some Mountain Dew then.
no.
You got to back it up.
Well, that's the thing. I work fast food, but if anything, I've lost weight since I'm working there because I'm on my feet between 10 and 12 hours a day, if not more,
Mm-hmm.
5 days a week.
Well, no, that's a lot. Well, what can you mention the name of the franchise? I mean,
Bojangles.
oh, okay, all right, all right.
And I work at a Ford dealership in upstate New York.
Ah, so together you guys provide fast food. Oh boy, I really went there.
Oh,
Mhm.
although, can you really say fast when it's a Ford?
Oh,
Oh wow.
I know. I don't think any of my coworkers watch this, but if they do, they know I'm poking fun. I'm actually really proud of the dealership I work for, Riley Ford in Shazy, New York.
look, the best car I ever had was a Ford Explorer.
Mm.
Now,
Ev-
Ford
ev-
Explorer.
Everything I run is Ford. I've been a Ford guy since I was a kid. I always wanted a F-250, F-350 diesel engine, and now I finally have two of them.
Oh, see, there you go.
And also, my dad, for my first truck, got me a little 91 Ranger with a stick shift in it because he's like, "You're learning how to drive a stick shift, no ifs, ands, or buts."
Wow.
I've
He
had a Ford Escort, I've had an F-150, and now I have a Ford Focus.
Okay.
And my dad's F-150, it's 2001. It's got 260,000 on the ticker, and I think
Wow.
its only major problem has been a water pump, and that's really about it. Everything else has been minor or spark plug related.
Yeah, I never had any problems with my Explorer, and I was hitting it up. I mean, I was at a point in my life once where almost every week I was at some form of competition. So I take that baby in a lot of instances, and I didn't fly, but it's been to Quebec, it's been to Toronto, it's been to Miami, Florida. It's been all over the place. I mean, if I could drive it there, I did. I mean, if it was too far out, of course, I flew. But yeah, that I put a lot of mileage on that baby, and then my teammates sometimes would come up with me and with our fighting gear and stuff like that. So yeah, that it served. Again, that is a car I would buy again. Definitely, Ford Explorer. Hey, you know what? Hey, Ford, we're over here talking about your products, everything. You guys need to do a solid for us. We're giving you guys the thumbs up here. But I mean, again, but I say that because it actually was the best vehicle I ever owned. So it really was.
And like I said, I will talk highly of Riley Ford. It is by far, and this is all honesty, this is the best job I've ever had in my life.
Really?
I like everybody I work with. They treat me good. I make a fair wage. I mean, we all wish we made more money, but in this day and age, where a lot of us are happy just to have work, they treat us really well. I like the location. And I have weekends off for the first time in my life. It's the first job I've had, and I'm 43. So I've been working over 30 years, and it's the first job in my life I've had where I have Saturday, Sunday off every week.
Wow.
and I have the option to work Saturdays if I want to come in, or if we have the work and they're like, we need you to work a Saturday because of the workload. I have no problems going in, working a half day or a whole day, but they treat you really good. And I didn't think I'd put you down. That was my cat Ines that made the appearance there. He was looking for attention. And but like they just gave us Christmas bonuses. We are in the 40 years of this family-owned business that they've been around. They have won the Ford President's Award 25 times, 26 times, something like that, and we're in line to win it again for 2022.
Wow. Yeah, and I know being in the car industry, really went through a rough patch for a good while, and just to see it that that things are kind of on the upswing again is always good. I mean, hey, look, at the end of the day, we're all affected by it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, believe me, I ended up purchasing my truck last year, right as all this mess started, and they were looking to make deals on their vehicles because they weren't getting much of any business. And right now, my truck, I could easily turn around and sell it for probably 10 to 15,000 more than what I paid for it.
Wow.
And my dealership that I bought it from has actually sent me multiple things like, "Hey, we want to buy your truck."
Really?
I'm like, "But you sold me this truck." But there have been quite a few dealerships around here where I know people that have bought brand new vehicles from their dealerships and then have literally sold that same vehicle back to them at what they paid, if not a little bit more.
Really? Wow.
That is how desperate some of the dealerships are for inventory because they're not making any money.
Yeah. I know that along those lines, we had a vehicle, I think it was a Ford Flex, that we were waiting on a title with. There was a issue with the title because it was going from Vermont to New York, and there was some black tape or something was going on. I don't know the full details, but we had dealerships from across the country calling us about that vehicle because there was a high demand for the Ford Flex, and we were the only one that had one. And that one was actually already claimed. We were just waiting for the title to come in, but because it was still in our inventory, they said we were getting calls from Colorado and California and literally all over the U.S.
Sounds about right.
Now we just need Tico to get calls like that for acting gigs and voice acting gigs, and let's get Tico down to Funimation.
Hey, let me tell you guys, this is a business that you have to be prepared to come in for the long haul. It's something that you get into it, and maybe in the first 5 years or so you'll catch a break. Maybe first 10 years. I mean, you don't know. It's one of those things that if you don't like rejection, if you're not patient, you won't be in it long because there's a lot. This is 95%, maybe more rejection, to be honest about it. People will tell you, we like you. Just a quick story. A major company in the fitness area, fitness industry, was looking at me, and they said, "Well, you know what? We like you. Blah 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 blah. We want you to tape a series of our exercises and stuff like that." So I ended up doing 68 different exercises as prescribed by them. All right. It took me several hours. I did it in my martial arts school. My friend filmed me. The guy got back to me. I really like you. And he was the head guy there in charge of hiring and all. They sent me a NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So usually that means, hey, you know what? We're going to sign you and off you go. So they sent me that. I signed it. I'm waiting for them to fly me out to California and get started and everything else. And these guys have got, hundreds and thousands of subscribers and stuff like that. And 2 days later, I get a message from him. I like you a lot, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But we're not going to use you. So this is to say that sometimes somebody in a position of authority could really love you and get you to the point where you're about to walk through the door, and one other person on some end could just say, you know what, I don't like him or I don't like her, and that nixes everything. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
And that's the tough thing about the acting industry and things of that nature is, like you said, it can change at any moment. And I know a little blurb came up on the screen as I was trying to figure some things out. But Darren, how do you think that Tico would do as this character?
I don't know.
could we see Tico, playing
Tico
this
the
cute
Nico?
little girl? Tico as Nico.
Tico is Nico. Well, you know what? If Tom Hanks could do Bosom Buddies and Robin Williams could do Mrs. Doubtfire, Tico could be Nico.
You weren't expecting that, were you, Tico?
Well, guys, you know what? Let me tell you this. I'd have to kind of expand my range, and I'd have to tap into my inner feminine side. But my only question, the most important question is, how much are they paying for the gig, and when do I start?
Of course, that's always the magic question.
I don't want to do that role. That role sucks. We'll pay you $50 million. I'd love to do that part. Thank you very much. Where do I sign? Yeah, exactly. That when it comes down to work, and sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But that would be interesting. But then again, too, you know what though? When you're dealing with animation and stuff like that, you always have that liberty to change things and to fool around and stuff like that. Maybe that character morphs into a male character. Who knows?
I want to see if I can actually get this to play the sound so he gets an idea of Nico. So tell me if you can hear this.
I can. No, Doug.
No,
Okay.
I don't. But I like the movement, frenetic and all that kind of stuff. That I can get, but I didn't hear the sound on that.
But Darren knows the sound, and anybody who knows Love Live knows that Nico knee sound.
Give me a second, Doug. I got you.
Okay.
Because you got to remember, I have my computer pulled up at all times.
Yeah.
Let's see. You want the English version, the Japanese version? Does it really matter?
Let's hear if it's not long, can we hear both? Let's hear the Japanese version, and then
I was about to say there's one version that has like 10 different languages.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
let's limit it to the English and then the Japanese.
Okay.
Fine. Okay. Let's see. Give me a minute.
Okay.
If you're just joining us, we're trying to see if we can turn Tico into Nico.
I might have a bit too much testosterone, but it's worth a shot here, folks.
Let's see. Let me know if you can hear this.
Yeah, I can hear it. It's not particularly clear, but I get this.
Here comes the important part.
Okay. Yeah, I could do it if one of you guys, if I could have somebody to kick me in my balls before I'm ready to deliver the line. I think I could get it. Yeah.
And we joke around about Nico on this show a lot because we were trying to do a Skype after like AZR after hours 18+ style show, and Darren didn't realize his microphone was as strong as it was, and he was away from the microphone and he bursted out into a Nico knee, and we heard it. And somewhere on our laptop is the recording of him doing that, but we haven't found it yet.
I think that needs to be included somewhere in the opening of the show.
Nico, no.
but that's just part of the fun. Yeah, we have fun in here, and Darren's like the little names under us. You can during the show you can change that, and we had some fun with that with a couple of guys you might know, Jay Moores and Rusty Gilligan.
Oh yeah.
We had them on the show a few weeks ago together.
Good guys.
That was dangerous. Put Jay and Rusty together on the show with camera where they can edit that. At one point, I looked down. I think Rusty had to put something like Doug's not wearing any pants. Typical Rusty being Rusty. And so I responded back going, he's right. I'm wearing shorts.
You should have said it. And to prove it.
Okay, that would have been great if I could have been like, babe, bring me my pants. I'll just roll them up.
Exactly. That would have been hysterical.
But it was, and Jay's like, I'm not getting paid enough for this. And Darren's like, wait, you're getting paid? So we just had fun. What are you pulling up here on the other one, Darren?
Nothing at the moment.
Okay. You just have it at the ready?
Yeah.
All right. But like we try to have a lot of fun here on the show. As you know, Tico, like I said, we've known each other for like 6 years at least or so.
No, definitely.
And of course, we wish we could see each other more.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, you know what? You were going through some stuff, and then you kind of, made some moves, and then of course, really, for the past year and a half, almost 2 years, we've had to deal with this pandemic, and that really put the kibosh on a lot of things. So, I mean, we're actually just kind of catching up. I couldn't make it to Saratoga because of a prior engagement. I was shooting something, but I did get to go to Poughkeepsie.
The Poughkeepsie show I don't think is one that we're ever going to really make just because of the distance, and there are some negative family ties with my ex or with my wife's ex in that area, so we're probably going to avoid there for personal reasons. But
Saratoga is the icing on the cake, really, for Sam. That's his number one baby. But
if we can get you to Plattsburgh, that would be great because you'd be in my hometown.
Plattsburgh. Only thing I've been through Plattsburgh. I mean, it gave us Richard Grieco. So
what was that?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Richard Grieco is from Plattsburgh. I'm almost 100% sure.
Which is fine. I'm not sure who he is, but he
was 21 Jump Street.
Oh, okay.
And then he went on to do the spin. Actually, they were supposed to kill his character off, but then he got another show from the same producers. Oh gosh, what was the name of the show where he played a private detective working for a corporate agency? Booker is what it was called. Actually, it was a pretty good show. So then he did Marker. And then after that, a couple of stints, guest starring in shows and stuff like that. Oh, what's the movie that he did with the guys from Saturday Night Live?
I'm not sure.
I got the name of it, but yeah, but you look it up, Doug. Darren, look it up. But anyway, yeah, Rich is. I'm almost 100% sure that Rich is from Plattsburgh.
So. I didn't know that the town that I did live in that had a famous Hollywood actress who came out of there was Wareham, Mass, with Gina Davis.
Oh, Gina Davis. She's got a really, really good track. She's done some very interesting movies.
And it was funny because I was watching, I think it was a Late Night with David Letterman, and they were talking about, she was from Wareham. I'm like, whoa, she's talking about my hometown right now, Wareham, Mass. Mm-hmm. And apparently she was Cranberry Queen one time, because a lot of people don't know Wareham, Massachusetts is the cranberry capital of the world. There is more cranberry per capita in Wareham than in any other city in the world.
Now that is interesting, completely useless. But at the same time, incredibly interesting. So that's the place where, now, just out of curiosity, are any of the major companies like Ocean Spray, or any of them based out of there? Out of curiosity,
Ocean Spray is based out of the Middleborough Lakeville area, which is like 3 towns away from Wareham.
Okay, well, same. Okay, there you go. Okay, so there you go. So there's my connection. So see, I like the. I don't like the cranberry, but I like the cran apple.
Oh yeah, I love the cranberry sauce.
Oh, well, that's yeah, because particularly too this time of year, right? You got to have. How can you have a turkey without having cranberry sauce?
Exactly. And so it's like I said, I got to actually like the first celebrity meeting I ever had with somebody who was already a predetermined celebrity was Gina Davis when she
really?
came home one year
We got to meet her.
Thanksgiving.
Right.
And I went into the local Stop and Shop, knowing she was in the area. She had been in Walmart, got hounded for autographs and stuff. I got in. I just happened to grab a candy bar, get in line, and her mother were in front of me in line.
Very cool.
With their entire Thanksgiving dinner, and her mom looks back and goes, "Oh, you have a candy bar? You could go right ahead. You go ahead." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I turned around and I looked back and said, "Excuse me, are you Gina Davis?" And the roll of the eyes, "Yeah, I am," because you knew she had been hounded, and
Right,
she just wanted to be home with her family, but was getting hounded and stuff. And it was just well, I think you're a wonderful actress. Thank you so much for what you've done. I loved you in A League of Their Own. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And that I ended the interaction there. It was quick, it was sincere, and it probably had more meaning than "Can I get your signature?"
You know what? It's and I will say this, and it's funny that you said that. I've over the years, and I'm not talking about on set. I mean, I've been on set with. If I started running off names on some of the sets that I've been on, you would immediately recognize these people. I will say, let me say this: out of all the actors that I've met, and I'm not going to go into all the names because then it might, if I don't mention them as the coolest person that I ever met, then you might say, well, was the guy an idiot? And I'll actually at some point I'll tell you off show who the idiots were, or the alcoholics and drug addicts, and believe me, there's a lot of them too. But the coolest guy that I ever was on set with was Eric Roberts. One of the coolest guys, period. I was working as an extra in this B movie that he was on, and he couldn't have been nicer. And we actually just shot the breeze. As a matter of fact, I got on the phone and I told my girlfriend at the time that I was on the set with Eric Roberts. She said, "Oh, I love Eric Roberts," and she mentioned some movie that he had done. And I said, "Eric, my girlfriend thinks you're cool." He says, "Give me that phone." And we talked to her for a couple of minutes. Just a really, really, really nice guy. He's somebody that I hope to work with down the road. But when I have a bigger part, oddly enough, I actually auditioned for a role which he got. We auditioned for the same role. And once I found out that he was auditioning for the role, I said to myself, "Why did you audition me?" Because he was gonna get the role. That's bottom line. But sometimes they go through the process. Well, even though we so and so is going to get it, we still have to kind of audition different people, and that's actually what happens. So,
we have a question in the chat room. Trisha wants to know, how long have you been into martial arts?
Well, I started at 9. I'm now 62. So that's how many years?
53.
Yeah, that I've been training. So yeah, I'm one of those guys that's continued to train. So as a matter of fact, I had class today. It's look, for me, I'm a lifer, but it's one of the things that you could practice and train at, no matter how old you are or how young you are. And I'm just trying to live as healthy a life as I possibly can, and training in the arts and everything helps me to achieve that. Now, I do a lot of other shit too. If you go to my Instagram, you'll see what I'm talking about. But the martial arts is really the foundation of everything. It's the basis of it. So.
And then she also asks, how long have you been in the business you're in? She came in late.
Okay, yeah. I've actually been in the I actually radio and stuff like that. Actually, when I was in my 20s, I thought I was going to end up doing news, radio or television news. It didn't quite work out that way. I got in it with some behind the scenes stuff, but as far as being in front of the camera, let me see if I can give a condensed version. I was in Manhattan, because I'm a New York City resident, I was over at the BBQs. If any of you people are familiar with that franchise, I'm eating, and there was a young lady and a young man behind me, and they were discussing something pertaining to, I can't remember the name of the TV show at the time, but I was very familiar with the show, and they were discussing something, and I just kind of added to their conversation, but they were talking about something within the industry. And so when I responded to what they were talking about with some industry inside information, the girl says, "Oh, so you're in the industry too? Are you an actor?" I said, "No." And my throwaway line was, I kind of always wanted to get in front of the camera. And so she looked at me and says, "Why don't you?" And I had done theater in high school. I had done theater in college. And then after I graduated from college, I didn't really have anything to do with theater at all, or even television work. And when she said that to me, I kind of said, you know what? At that point, I believe I was 52 years old. And I said, what am I waiting for? I'm not getting any younger. So a few weeks later, I went out, looked for an agent. And I actually got into contact with the agent that had signed my goddaughter many years prior. And she didn't remember me. She vaguely remembered my goddaughter. But she signed me. So, and that was my entry back into the business. So I've been at it now for about almost exactly a decade, maybe a tad bit longer, and I'm still struggling.
But I think that's the thing you see everywhere is like a lot of, like you said, actors is a lot of hard work, a lot of effort going in to maybe land a role.
Exactly.
And for every one yes you get, you might get 100, 150, 1,000 no's.
Quite easily. Sometimes it seems just overwhelming, but yeah, you get quite a lot of no's. And a lot of times and the strange thing about it is people will tell you, most casting directors, can I say this? Can I speak in English? They don't know what the fuck they want. Okay? They really don't. And you will see things that go on and it literally boggles the mind. But it is the nature of the business, and that's not going to change. So you just keep at it and you hope that somebody, says, okay, you know what, I'm going to go with this person or that person. And a lot of it has to do sometimes with the look or how a particular person that makes that final decision is feeling that morning. And I'm not saying that tongue in cheek. I'm telling you because it's the truth, because I've also known people that were involved in casting. And there are a lot of things that go into this. So, it is what it is until they find a better process. I'll just keep knocking and, look, I may be the beneficiary of somebody who maybe doesn't have great taste, and they decide to go with me. And somebody's sitting out there saying, who the hell is that Tico guy? He's awful, but he's working. So it's a two-way street, it is what it is. So, but it's not, that's the part that people don't see. It's not glamorous. It really isn't.
Oh, there's definitely a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. And like we hear all the time, a lot of the voice actors will hear people, well, how did you get into voice acting? How can I do that? And there's no, like, you can't just, most voice actors will tell you, you can't just hop in your car, drive down such and such street, and you'll become a voice actor. Exactly. Because I know J. Michael Tatum got into voice acting because he was doing theater with Christopher Bevins, and Bevins, after about 6 months of hounding him, convinced him to come to Funimation for an audition, which, he and Tatum will tell you the story. He was in the booth for 4 hours. And he comes out of the booth after doing all this recording and looks at Christopher Bevins and goes, how do you guys get anything done around here if an audition takes 4 hours? And Bevins goes, oh, hold on. Before I answer that, I need you to sign this, just saying you were here and whatnot. And Tatum goes, I didn't read what I was signing. And he's like, going through the paperwork, initialing and signing and everything. And he goes, that wasn't an audition. You just recorded the first your character's first 6 episodes for such and such a show. What you signed was an NDA saying that you are now officially contracted by Funimation, so you can't tell anybody what you were doing, why you were here, and also we needed the information so we knew where to send your paycheck.
Wow. Great story. Great story.
And then you have somebody like Morgan Berry, who we've had on the show as well. She got her start at Funimation because of an anime con called HaberCon. Todd Habercorn's anime fans threw together an anime convention in Todd's honor. And so Todd put together a competition where people could go up and voice act, and whoever was voted as the best voice actor was guaranteed an audition for a Funimation title. Not guaranteed a position, but just an audition. An unknown could go in. Morgan Berry won that competition.
Wow, very cool.
She's been on the show 4 or 5 times, and most recently she was in Yashahime. I don't know if you remember an anime called Inuyasha from, like 10 years ago or even more. It was an old Viz Media one. It was on Adult Swim at night. Well, Yashahime is Inuyasha's daughter. So it's a continuation. It's a spin-off of a series that got me into anime, and she's voicing Yashahime. She's voicing Inuyasha and Kagome's daughter. So it's like she has really made a name for herself. And it's not she wasn't just lucky. She worked her butt off to get to where she's at. Like a lot of the actors do. And you know that it's not just walk in a booth and say a few lines.
No, exactly. No, exactly. If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it.
Well, like podcasting, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Oh, wait, they are. No. But not everybody stays around for 7+ years.
But see, exactly. And to your credit, again, at the end of the day, it's longevity. A lot of people come in, whether it's even with acting, they come in and it's like, boom, here they are. And then every magazine, everybody knows who they are. And then 2 years later, and it's so funny. Oh, if your name is Joe Blow, and you have this meteoric rise, and then 3 years later you're not working. Somebody, didn't you used to be Joe Blow? Which I find hysterical, as if though they're not who they. Now you know what they mean by that, but it's like, no, yeah, I'm not Joe Blow. I changed my name to to Fred Flintstone, but that's what happens. And I've actually known a lot of people in the industry who at one time did fairly well, and somebody would say, oh yeah, didn't you used to be so-and-so and so-and-so? And I'm like, well, it happens sometimes.
Oh, yeah. And like, as you know, I've never done this show for fame, fortune, anything like that. I mean, we're still running everything out of pocket. We have 2 wonderful sponsors, or 3 wonderful sponsors that donate gifts and things for giveaways and support us. But we have all the financial backing comes out of our pocket. And it's been that way since we started. Would we love a sponsorship deal? Of course we would.
Sure.
Would I love to turn this into a job where we make enough money from doing this show that my wife doesn't have to work, or I don't have to work? Or we can hit the levels of some of the other YouTubers out there who make a decent amount of money based off of subscriptions and views and things of that nature. I think that's everybody's dream when you start a podcast or YouTube channel or something like that. But it's not going to happen overnight. And B, you need to put the effort in if you want to get anything out of it.
And sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes it's just hanging around long enough that somebody finally says, hey, you know what? They've been around. They've got a track record. They're consistent. We know what they can do. Or maybe you hang around long enough that you just keep bugging the hell out of them, and somebody say, okay, look, damn it, what do you want? You've been knocking at this door for 10 years. What do you want? I want to get in. Okay, come in, but leave me alone. So by hook or crook, as long as you get in, because once you get in, at that point, nobody cares how you got in, you're in.
So. Oh, yeah. And it's like, there are times where it's very humbling from doing the show. Like I mentioned earlier, to Darren, I was at a Staples in Burlington, Vermont today, and mentioned the radio show to an employee there, and she goes, "Wait, I've heard of you guys. Do you guys go to Bakuretsu Con?" Yeah, we go there almost every year. That's where I know you from. It's like, wait, you've heard of us and you remembered us. It's like, that's kind of humbling, because it's like, especially with Blog Talk and Hazy Radio, where we were at prior to YouTube, I never knew who was coming and going if you didn't interact in the chat room. I didn't know how many people subscribed to us or followed us or paid attention to us. We had numbers of, you had a reach of X%. That could mean, we had a rating of 7.6. Does that mean I had like 7.5 viewers for the show, or did that mean that I don't know? Wasn't clear. Like, I can clearly go back and watch shows that I've done in the past, be like, oh look, this show's gotten 10 views. This show with this voice actor is up to 200 views.
Right. I think check there. Have I reached double digits? Do I have at least 10 people?
Let's take a look here.
Well, it started off at 10. Now, 5 minutes after being into it with me, it's going down to -5.
I won't be able to actually see how many people have actually watched it until after, but I've seen as many as like 3 people up there.
How many are actually there but asleep? And we're not just talking about Darren.
I think Darren's still awake.
Okay. Well, whoever that young lady was, thank you so much, because at least I know somebody's curious about what I do.
So thank you, Tricia, for the questions. Tico definitely appreciates that.
Very much appreciate it. Thank you. And if your life is that boring, you can follow me on my Instagram. And I can assure you that it will continue to be as boring as it ever has been. But on occasion, I post some stuff, and it's usually of me working out or being a taskmaster for some of my students. But no, every now and then, if I'm on a cool movie set or something, I'll post something. But the past 2 years, of course, with COVID and everything, I haven't. But anyway, just for the hell of it, NYCPKT is my handle on Instagram. If anybody cares to follow. So.
And you definitely follow Tico. He is an awesome, awesome guy, as you have found out tonight. We love chatting with him. We hadn't kept in contact as much as we did for a while, just because life got in the way and things of that nature. But definitely hoping that in the near future we're able to meet up. We are looking at the possibility of Saratoga Comic-Con next year, their spring show. The only hindrance is that's the weekend before Anime Boston.
So, yeah, that's a big one for you guys. Yeah.
So that is where a lot of our focus is going to be. If we are able to feasibly afford it financially, I am going to look at getting a table for AZR, because 2022 we're going to be focusing on promotions of Anime-Zing Radio. My wife is taking a step back from conventions and art and stuff for a little bit, just to recharge, rejuvenate. We want to see if we can grow the radio show to the levels that we expect that it can reach. And so, we may get a table there if we can afford it.
Right.
It's only like a 2-hour drive, which I thought about driving up and back, but that's like 4 hours of driving plus tabling and stuff for Saturday and Sunday, and that's a bit much, but especially with a 4-year-old.
About to say, it's better than 2 wasted trips to Virginia.
True. We're still waiting. You almost had a wasted trip to Mass back in 2020, because when the pandemic hit, we were supposed to meet up at Anime Boston for the first time ever. Darren and Doug were going to meet face to face, and we got approved for press for Anime Boston for the first time in 5 years of trying. And then the pandemic hit, and like 2 weeks before AB, and they canceled. It was one of the first big shows to cancel because of the pandemic.
And I was this close to buying tickets for a flight, because I was comparing airlines, trying to figure out, because ticket prices had plummeted right before AB too, so it would have been a prime time to get them.
Were you going to fly Piedmont Airline? Are they still around?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't even remember who I was going to fly.
I flew out of the South Piedmont for many years. Again, I don't know that they're in business anymore. So
No idea. All
But
I can say is, after a lot of the stuff going on at the airports nowadays, I'd rather drive at this point.
oh no, I hear you. I can understand. I can understand.
But once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you to Tico for spending a couple hours with us, just being goofy, silly, and talking about life as it has been for us over the last few years. Big thank you to Darren, our co-host, for hanging out as well and being a big part of the show as always.
And staying awake.
I wasn't going to say that.
Yes, exactly.
I
And,
have to say,
staying away.
I had to, because this is the first show I've managed to stay awake for in what feels like forever.
You know, you really need to get a sponsored, even if it's just product, or something to keep you awake, an energy drink or
I actually reached out to an energy drink company about sponsorship, and they said no. We weren't quite what they were looking for, and it's an energy drink that I drink a lot.
The bastards.
Energy drinks have the opposite effect on me. They put me to sleep. Anything with caffeine puts me to sleep.
Wow. All right, well, we got to find. There's something out there that'll keep you up. We just got to find a manufacturer and just convince them that you're the guy.
Take away his waifu's pillows, and that might keep him awake. Not to say, give me an actual girlfriend or something that can keep me awake.
Or we send you to Japan, you can rent one.
Oh,
no, there's actually a show called Rent a Girlfriend.
Just give her your business card.
But there is an anime called Rent a Girlfriend, and that is an actual business in Japan that you could rent a girlfriend, rent a boyfriend, rent a mom or a dad or a family.
Mm-hmm.
If I rent a family in Japan, can I get a tax write-off? That's what I want to know.
Who knows?
Good question.
We want to remind all our viewers that next Saturday we are doing our special Christmas episode, our last show of the year. Typically Sundays, but due to a previous engagement that we have coming up next Sunday, I'm not going to be home in time for the show, so we're moving it to Saturday night. It was going to be a voice actor roundtable, but after some serious thought about it, we're going to make it a Christy Rothrock special. That's right. The wonderfully talented voice actress Christy Rothrock is going to be joining us. I'm going to focus it on her because the last 2 times she came on the show, she was always with other people, and the focus wasn't solely on her and her career. So we are excited about having Christy back on. Of course, you remember she was with us last weekend when we welcomed Kitum Cosplay to the show. She came on as a guest co-host. She was also one of 2 talented voice actors who came on for our Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid special, where she voiced Ilulu, the cute dragon that comes in season 2 and is part of an epic battle scene. Which I think that you would get a kick out of the fight sequence for episode 1 of Dragon Maid season 2. The studio behind Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid underwent some major tragedy a few years ago. Somebody set fire to the studio.
Wow.
I think there were some lives that were lost and things like that. And they came back with Dragon Maid season 2, which was a big name for the studio. And episode 1, they introduced this new little girl dragon with oversized tits. And her and Toru, the main dragon, have one of the most epic battle scenes, and it's like the biggest middle finger to the arson that you could probably give, because they came back with a great storyline, an epic battle scene right off the bat, which felt very somewhat out of place for how a lot of the show goes. But it was like a big statement show, in my opinion. I don't know, Darren, if you agree with me on that, but that was like a statement going, we're back and we're better than ever.
Oh, most definitely. By the way, pull my screen up. Because, about to say, he got a kick out of Ilulu, so therefore he's going to see Ilulu.
Oh.
Okay, so I got the screen up. You just got to get the picture on.
Give me a sec. Window, Chrome tab.
So you just
Bing.
gotta whip it out,
There we go.
Okay, so we'll remove this one and we'll add this one. That's Ilulu.
Ah.
So that's the.
Let me get the other picture I had of her. There you go.
So as we are waiting on that, but that is one of the characters that Christy voices, and she does a great job.
You said Christy Rothrock?
Yep.
I'm going to take a stretch. I'm sure she gets asked. Well, maybe she doesn't, but I'm curious if she's related to Cynthia Rothrock.
I don't know. I can write that down and find out.
Ask her. That would be interesting. Cynthia Rothrock. She's one of the first ladies of American martial arts cinema. She's done movies with Jackie Chan and the likes. So it would be interesting if she's actually related to her.
Okay, found it. I think. Stop sharing.
And if she is, you want to get Cynthia Rothrock on the show, because I mean she could tell you a lot about those guys, with Jackie Chan or whoever, and she could tell you a lot about the industry, and Darren would love it too because she's an accomplished martial artist.
So here's the another screenshot of Ilulu with Miss Kobayashi.
Oh, okay.
Ilulu, like I said, the oversized chest. And scroll it back down to Kobayashi, Darren.
You mean Miss Flat as a board?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So the one with the glasses, that is who I am going to be cosplaying as for Anime Boston.
Oh.
I've already ordered the wig, and yes, it is a female. So I will be cosplaying at Anime Boston as Miss Kobayashi.
Well, again, my case makes my case for playing Nico now.
Here's a scene of like the epic fight between Ilulu and Toru.
Oh gosh.
Now you have two dragons that are battling each other.
Oh, and you'll be, and speaking of dragon, you'll be in drag as one of the characters.
You could kind of say that, but at the same point in time, Kobayashi dresses more like a man than half of the men in that show.
She really does.
And as we found out, because a few weeks ago we did a Smash or Trash, where Darren, myself, and a couple other people came on and decided whether we would smash, trash, or cuddle different anime characters, whether they be male or female. And we found out Miss Kobayashi is someone that all of us would smash without thinking about it. It's not so much that she's the hot waifu anime girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's responsible. She is like determined. Like she's like the ultimate like mother waifu.
Mm. Well, a lot of those characters are androgynous, and even with the male characters, even being more in many ways effeminate than most. So it's a whole. I mean, this whole genre is just so different, and the various communities that are actually into this. Again, this is, I don't even consider this a subculture anymore. You know, I mean, this is really going mainstream in a lot of ways. So,
and that's a good picture of Kobayashi as she normally would dress for work.
Oh, there you go.
So I wouldn't have to go too far stretch. I need a white button-up shirt, a yellow tie, dark gray pants, and like brown loafers.
You know, I just you need to shave.
Oh yeah, I will shave for sure.
Okay, and now if anybody hits on you, you know.
I don't even want to say what my wife is planning on cosplaying on the air because I want that to be a secret. But on that note, we are going to call it a night. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you to Tico for coming on and hanging out with us again. For people who want to follow you, where can they find you?
Yes, in a foxhole. No, they can get me Best place is probably on my Instagram, which is NYC, which like New York City, PKT. P as in punch, K as in kick, and T as in tough. NYC PKT on Instagram.
Also, if you've enjoyed the show tonight, you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers by the end of the year. Once we hit our 200 subscriber goal, we are going to be doing a giveaway where one lucky winner will get a chance to sit in the co-host seat for an upcoming voice actor interview. If you want a chance at that, subscribe. Have your friends subscribe as well so that they can get a chance to do that. We have so many awesome voice actors who have been guests on the show in the past. Many more that we are in talks with about coming on in the future. So you definitely don't want to miss that. Until next Saturday, when we welcome Christy Rothrock back to the show, have an amazing week. Happy holidays, everybody. Be safe out there. And we'll see you again Saturday night right here on Anime-Zing Radio on YouTube.
Take care, everybody.